All right, welcome into episode number 51 of Out of Touch. John Alden and Dustin Schutte with you here on this lovely morning, afternoon, evening, whenever it is you're consuming this cavalcade of content. And also, behind the scenes real quick for you guys, it took me like 4 tries to get the show recording correctly today. So we're off to a great start. But Dustin, welcome in. Mitchell Page, by the way, he'll be with us maybe later on. But we'll have to wait and see. But as I said, Dustin Schutte with me after being off last week. We'll get into what he was up to. But good evening, sir.
Good evening. Yes, I was on sabbatical last week. I haven't had a chance to listen to last week's episode yet. I usually do when I'm not on, so I can be topical. But I did see that you guys were talking about the college football 2025 game.
We did, and I posted a clip of that on TikTok. I think it was Tuesday, and it ended up being our most viewed and liked TikTok that I've ever posted.
Nice.
Which makes sense. It's a very topical thing right now.
This is now a video game podcast.
It is a video game podcast. Have you been partaking in the NCAA football video game?
You know what? When I moved out of Georgia, like in 2022, I threw away my Xbox. Didn't have a purpose for it anymore. There's no more games that are being created. I had a DVD player and everything streamed, so I no longer needed it. So I have not bought a console. I do not have the game, and I probably won't. I'll probably just live vicariously through Facebook videos, Instagram reels of people playing the game. Because here's the thing that I've noticed, and it would annoy the shit out of me if I can say that. Sorry, Jay.
Yeah, we can. It's okay. The only thing that happens whenever we say expletives on the show is I have to label it as an explicit show whenever I upload it.
Well, okay. Well, I apologize for adding.
Oh, it's okay. It adds little to nothing to what I have to do.
Adding extra work to your plate. But the thing that I've noticed in a lot of these videos, because I do watch a lot, so it should tell you how I choose to spend my free time, is that there seems to be a lot of glitches in that game. And I don't know if maybe those are just the videos that get posted, but it would drive me insane if you've waited, 10, 11 years for that game to be re-released. You pay, I don't know, $70 to $100 for it. I don't know how much it costs, but probably in that ballpark. And then the game glitches that frequently. I mean, it would drive me insane. Maybe I'm just...
Something about... And I don't play a whole lot of new video games, but I do keep up with like what's releasing because I do enjoy video games like in general as a medium or whatever. But a lot of games nowadays, and evidently the college football game is suffering from this as well. A lot of these games get put out and they're unfinished per se, but because of the internet and online downloading, that type of stuff, the company that makes whatever game you're talking about, they can just update it and send a patch and you kind of just re-download the game of sorts. And so that does anger some people whenever there's glitches like that, because back in the day, even back when I was a kid playing video games as they were coming out, you didn't like games came finished. They didn't have updated patches, that type of stuff. So there wasn't any of, I mean, I guess there were glitches from time to time, but not nearly as bad as what you get today.
You know, what's funny is I'm like the least gamer of this group. I used to play sports games a lot, but I think it was when I was in Orlando, and I think it's EA Sports. One of the video game companies, one of the popular sports video games companies is located in Orlando. So when I was down there, they had an application for you to like be a video game, like your job was to be a video game, quote unquote, tester.
Yeah.
But the job description is like, you're playing this game for your 8 hours. You're taking notes of anything we can improve upon. And it's like, you have to be okay with this being your job all the time because we wanted to get it, so accurate. So you're pointing out, so you're playing this game every day, 8 hours every day. And I just think it would just get so boring and so frustrating because not only are you playing the game every day for 8 hours straight, you're also like having to nitpick details in terms of like the background, in terms of what, the controls do. Are there certain glitches, player names?
Essentially your job is to figure out what sucks about it, which is the least fun part about the game.
Oh, well, I think I would come up with quite a few things, but it's just like, there are people who specifically do that. And it just kind of points to the fact like, you're never going to have a perfect game. But what's funny is like, the more realistic games are the ones that glitch the most. Like nobody had a problem with Pitfall on Atari. Anybody ever have an issue with that glitching? Probably
I wish
not.
I would have
Donkey
had a
Kong.
cricket noise because I'm like, what's Pitfall?
You've never heard of Pitfall? It's like
I
one of the
think I've heard
original.
of it, but I couldn't, like, if you showed me a picture of it, there's a good chance I've probably never seen it in action before.
Pong. I think that's what it was
Pong,
called,
I'm
right?
aware of
Yep.
Pong. Pong was the original video
That was
game, if
the
I'm not
OG video
mistaken.
game.
The
Man,
OG. They have variations of it in arcades. I mean, I say
I
arcades
know.
tongue in cheek because arcades, the prototypical one you may be thinking of, they don't exist anymore, but like the round ones or the Dave and Buster's, that type of stuff is what I'm referring to.
You know what's better than that is if you
What?
can go to I call them barcades. They're not
Okay, we
always
do
called
have a
that.
few of those in Louisville, actually. I've never been
Those
to them, but we do
places
have
are
them.
really cool because a lot of it, it's like you do just pay like a quarter to play games. There's one I went with my acquaintance in Logansport, Indiana. I can't remember the name of it. Bonus Pints, maybe? It was a really clever name. I think that's what
Ooh,
it's
I
called.
like
So,
that. Bonus pints.
yeah, so I'm giving them a plug. But we went there and they had Super Mario Brothers, the original. I could not have spent more time on that game. It felt like I was playing it for like 2 hours, but they had a lot of stuff where you just put in a quarter and then you enjoy your beer. I think they had food too. Like, I really think that those places are fun. And that kind of scratches the video game itch that I have. Like, just go out for a night, play a couple hours, enjoy your drinks with your friends, and then that's all I need.
What's something that you indulge in? Because I know Mitchell and I, we talk about video games sometimes. Maybe that may not be something we always indulge in, but do you have a particular thing that you go to that maybe takes you back to your younger self? Maybe.
Anything that I indulge in that takes me back to my younger self. Can you give me an example?
So like I'm talking about video games, like a lot of the stuff that I play, maybe not Mitchell. I think our tastes are a little bit different, but a lot of the things that I play, I may or may not have said this. I think I have at least once or twice on this show before. But if I'm playing a video game nowadays, I do it on something called an emulator, and there are apps that you can get on your phone that do that. They emulate games, and you similar to how you used to be able to do the music with LimeWire and stuff like that, you can download what's called a ROM onto your phone and that type of stuff. I'm getting really nerdy. I'm feeling very nerdy explaining this,
Yeah.
but you put the game file onto your phone, and if you're like me, you have a Bluetooth controller, and you also have an HDMI adapter to where you can plug your phone up to the TV, and so your screen mirroring your phone is or the Bluetooth controller is also connected to your phone wirelessly, and you can sit there and play old video games. And that's something I like to indulge in from time to time. Stuff that I grew up playing, or sometimes games that I never got around to playing when I was a kid.
I'm trying to think. I know I really want to build like a fort out of bed sheets. That seems like it would be fun to do when
Yeah.
you're in your 30s just on a random night. I don't know if there's anything, because like I said, I don't play many video games anymore. I'm sure there's something, but like off the top of my head, I can't
Don't you like,
really think of anything.
maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like I've heard you talk about stuff like this before, but old classic movies. Aren't you into that kind of stuff?
Mhm. Yeah, but that doesn't take me back to like childhood or anything.
It doesn't?
I just like
Okay.
that. It's so I've explained this before and a lot of people don't maybe understand it, but I got into old movies when I was working at Saturday Tradition because I would work 14, 16, 18-hour days. And
Like
so on my
slave
one
labor.
day off, I wanted to disassociate from everything. So I'd put my phone away, I'd go hiking, go out to a restaurant, something. And old school movies, there's a ton of dialogue. Like there's not like these movies where there's a lot of action where you can kind of put watch through your phone basically. You have to pay attention in those movies. At least I do because I'm like a slow learner. Like if I miss one thing, I'm lost throughout the whole movie. So it forced me to put my phone down, actually watch the movie. And I was like, "Oh, this stuff's really good and entertaining." So that's why I got into it.
What's an example? So I think I know what you mean. So like when I think of an old movie or an old TV show, I definitely feel like you experience more like mundane type of conversations that in movies nowadays you don't necessarily get. What's an example of maybe your favorite classic movie that you like to dive into?
Oh, my favorite is Casablanca. I can watch that.
Casablanca.
I can watch that once a month.
Okay.
It's so good. I don't
It-
I don't know what it is. Does it ever like do you ever watch a movie and wish you could be in that time? Like, I don't wanna live in the 1940s in World War II, that sounds horrible, but like, if I could go there for a day, that kinda like I don't know how to explain it. Like, I just wanna kinda go in and see, is that what it was really like to be at, like, a lounge in Morocco or, or if you're
yeah,
if you're in some other movie, like, is that what it was like to be in a restaurant in the petrified forest? Like a
Yeah,
burger
so
joint.
I,
Like,
I
I just
don't do
wanna
that necessarily with movies or TV shows as much as I would do with something like music, because a lot of my music taste over the years, especially when I talk about rock and metal and stuff like that, a lot of the bands that I enjoy kind of rose to prominence when I was a young child, or maybe even not even born yet. And so there are times when I look back, especially when I'm listening to albums that came out maybe in the early 90s or late 90s, whatever. I wish that I maybe could have grown up. And when I say grown up, like be a mid to late teenager, early 20s. Kind of, I mean, similar to where I am now. I mean, I know I'm
yeah.
26, so I'm not a teenager, but old enough to be able to enjoy them as they were kind of coming out, if that makes sense, coming into their own. I think that's kind of what I wish I could do in terms of going back to a different era.
See, I think there's nothing that I do well, there's probably something that I do, I just can't think of it. It's Wednesday, I'm midway through the week,
It's
cashed
Wednesday,
out.
my dudes.
Oh, yeah, it's it's Wednesday. I forget that this gets released on Thursday, and
Let's
people
well, either
listening could
way,
be
yeah,
listening any day of the week.
it's true.
It's Wednesday in my world.
I was just thinking
Um,
the meme. It's Wednesday, my dudes. Do you know what I'm
oh,
talking about? Have you ever seen that?
I don't think I have.
No, that's okay. You uncultured swine. Just go ahead with your
I
point.
do
Then.
know that reference. Uh, but so, like, I will listen to a song or hear a band or something, and it will transport me back to, like, where I heard that song, or I think I've mentioned this before, like, Duncan Sheik's "Barely Breathing." That song was really popular when I was in elementary school. That
I think
song
we
was
did talk about that
you were probably not even I guarantee you were not even born when that song came out, so that's
when were you in
great.
high school?
No, I was in elementary school when
Oh,
it was
elementary. What
yeah.
year was it? Do you remember?
I think it came out in, like, '93.
Yeah, I was born in 97. So yeah, that checks out.
So, that song used to play on the school bus a lot when I was a kid because it was really popular. And so my mind goes back to like getting off the school bus in the early fall or in the what like right when school started or at the end when it was really nice and warm out, going out, grabbing a basketball and shooting at my hoop. Like that's where that takes me back to. And there are other songs that I associate with like things that happened in high school or elementary or college or whatever. So that's where I kind of get the I don't know if nostalgia comes in, but that's kind of what that's like. That would be the closest thing I have to like doing something from my childhood.
So part of the reason why you weren't with us last week, obviously you were covering Big Ten Media Days up in Indianapolis, but I know when all of that was said and done, you and Abby drove over to Cincinnati, went to Great American Ballpark, but you weren't taking in a Reds game. You were taking in a Foo Fighters concert, right?
Yes. Yes, this was so fun and so awesome. Now I will say, I'm gonna disappoint you a little bit in
Okay.
that so the concert started at 5:30 and it was OVC Mammoth. Is that what they were?
Oh,
That
Mammoth WVH, Wolfgang Van Halen's band.
wow,
It's
I mean, I just
for those who
have
are uneducated, that's Eddie Van Halen's son.
yeah, I look at that. I completely butchered the name of that band that you love. I'm sorry. The Pretenders and Foo Fighters. So we weren't running behind, but we didn't want to like eat ballpark food. I was like, let's actually have dinner. So we missed the first act. We missed the Mammoth, whatever the letters are. We missed them. We did get there at Great American Ballpark to see the Pretenders and then the Foo Fighters concert, which I mean, it was awesome. It was one of those things where I've wanted to see him for a long time and tickets are just they tend to be expensive no matter what. But I was like, I, at this point, you're just going to pay a lot of money to see the Foo Fighters. So that's what we did. We had a lot of fun, and then the next day, we went to the Newport Aquarium, which is right across the river. That was my
Okay.
Indiana saying across and not across.
That is an Indiana thing, or at least it's
Yeah,
a Midwestern thing,
it
probably.
is. and we had a penguin experience. So we got to pet penguins. It was a
That
blast.
sounds right up your alley.
It was.
I
Well,
don't
it's
know
right up
why, but that's a
Abby's alley.
very Dustin Shooty thing.
She loves penguins. Well, I mean, we've got to pet, let's see, goats, an elephant, a penguin. She would probably know if we've got to pet anything else. But those are the things that stick out. And it was awesome. I think Cincinnati is actually a pretty cool city. It was hell to try to drive around, but I don't think it's kind of like, you went on vacation to where, Delaware?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't think you would like book a week-long vacation in Cincinnati. Nobody's doing that. But if you're like, hey, we want to get out of the house for a couple days, going to do a long weekend, I think Cincinnati's a good city to do that.
Speaking of Cincinnati, I'll be there tomorrow for a Creed concert. Creed, 3 Doors Down, and Finger 11. They'll be at Riverbend Music Center. Have you ever been to Riverbend for a show?
No, I have not.
Very similar to Deer Creek. I know you're familiar with Deer
yes,
Creek.
I am familiar
in the
with
style of the music venue that
Okay.
it is. But Creed is on their reunion tour, and I'm super excited. And I don't want to be giddy too much on this, but I think the entire lineup is just full of bands from that era that it's really gonna, I keep talking about the nostalgia with music. I'm ready to be taken back a little bit, so I'm excited. So last year in Cincinnati, I saw Alter Bridge around the same time. It was late August, as opposed to it being August 2nd for this one. But Alter Bridge is the instrumental members of Creed, just different singers. So I'll be able to say that I've seen, I guess, both iterations. It's not that they're the same band, because they're not, but it's cool that I'll be seeing kind of their branching paths, if you will, in two different music venues, because I saw them at the Andrew J. Brady Music Center, which is an indoor venue, last year. But I'm excited to have a good time. Hopefully the weather holds off. I do think there is a chance of rain. I don't know if it's like going to be a downpour potentially, but we'll have a good time regardless. But hopefully it doesn't rain.
Yeah, that sounds like it would be a lot of fun. That's like a sneaky solid lineup.
Yeah. Are you a lot of people are Creed haters. You don't seem like someone who'd be a Creed hater.
You know what's funny is I think I used to be a Creed hater. I recently realized it was one of those things where
it was like cool to hate Creed, kind of like cool to hate Nickelback.
It was. Yep. But that wasn't the case. I was like, I know like 2 of their songs. Actually, I know like 5 or 6. So, and they're solid. Again, they're not my favorite band, but I'm not mad at the music they produced. I think
Creed has a good mixture of music that you can blast while you're driving really fast down the highway, but they also go the complete other direction a lot of the time, where it's music where you could be sitting out at a campfire, just enjoying yourself and relaxing. And I love bands that can go in both directions.
Yeah, for sure.
And I know a lot of bands can do that, but there's there's something about the sound. There's something about, I love Mark Tremonti, the guitarist. Something about just the way that he plays. It just, I guess the pun is intended here, but it hits all the right notes.
Hits all the right chords.
That might be the corniest thing I've ever said. Definitely the corniest thing I've said today.
You're getting older. You're closer to being a dad.
So do the dad jokes, I don't think you have to be a dad to give the dad jokes. It's almost like it's an age you have to hit instead.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for me, that age was like 20. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've always been a terrible, like dry humor dad joke type thing, sarcasm. So for me, it's early, but I've also been told I'm like a 70-year-old man. So
yeah, I've been told similar things. Something about, I don't know. There must be things that happen in life that make you, I don't know. I guess it could just be personality and genetics or whatever. But maybe sometimes there are things that happen that make you grow up quicker too.
I think so.
That took a dark turn, didn't it? not really, but you know what I mean.
It did. I think. Well, I don't want to say you've never, because I don't know your life. But you weren't really much of a party animal. Am I correct in saying that?
No, funny that you mentioned that too. Where do I go with this? I guess we'll sit here in the bask in the silence while I find a way to dance around this. I guess. Okay. I guess I'll just do the basic version of this. I never went to a party in high school. I never
Okay.
went to a
You never wait.
party in college.
I'm gonna stop you. You never went to
Okay.
a party, or you never went to a party where there was alcohol, because there's two different things.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's I would wait this way. I guess yes. I'll answer your question. Wait, no, you asked me two different questions, didn't you?
Okay, let me
I'm
start
all
again.
over the place right now. Clearly,
this is good. I think this is great content. Question 1. Okay. Nope. Now you got me confused. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Okay, so I'm gonna rephrase it. I'm just gonna speak slower.
Okay.
You say you never went to a party when you were in high school.
Correct. And you were talking about with alcohol.
Yeah.
And the answer is yes. I was also never invited to one. I don't know that I would have gone if I was.
Sure,
because that
but
really wasn't my scene or crowd or whatever you want to call it.
You were invited to like birthday parties or like
but also birthday parties.
Gatherings.
Birthday parties at like in high school. Maybe it's different back whenever you were in high school, but like people didn't really do birthday parties. I guess even ones with that, unless they were ones with alcohol. You know what I'm saying? That kind of birthday party.
Well, your generation's just full of filth. How about that?
My generation was the generation that started vaping in high school. That's what I grew up with.
That's so accurate. But here's the thing. Look, what's his name? Elroy, Leroy. Who's the guy that gives me a hard time?
Oh, EJ.
EJ. Why did I think his name was Leroy? Okay. Sorry, EJ. But this is what I'm talking about. This is the ice cream cake situation and how we got addicted, because at every party when I was in high school, there was an ice cream cake, a giant one, mind you. And then you'd go down. We did not do a lot of drinking. I think I drank like twice in high school. And it wasn't like to get drunk. It was just, oh boy, look, he's drinking a beer or having a vodka Hawaiian punch.
Have I told you what my first legal drink was?
You have, but I don't remember what it was.
It was a Blue Moon, and it was at a Roosters in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Roosters, solid.
Yeah, Roosters. Shout out Roosters. Have you been to Roosters? Are you familiar with
the
legend of Roosters wings?
Isn't Roosters the one in Ohio? Aren't they in Ohio too? Because they're not in Indiana, I don't think.
There is one, or at least there used to be one in southern Indiana in the Jeffersonville area. There's 2 or 3 different ones in Louisville. They might be all over Ohio. I'm not aware of where they're.
Maybe I'm thinking of something different, but I thought that Roosters was like really popular in Ohio, and I think I've had the place I'm thinking of, I thought it was called Roosters. Maybe it had the same name, but it's a different chain. I don't know. But anyway, continue.
Okay, so yeah, I was about to go down a different path, and maybe I'll go ahead. But the only thing you need to have a chicken restaurant is you just take a sound or a type of animal that is or related to a chicken, and that's how you come up with a restaurant for a wing place. You have roosters, you have cluckers, you have, I don't know, if you're right now off the spot, I know I'm not doing a good job of it, but if you were coming up with a chicken restaurant and you had to, do it in a short time span, would you even have something like that?
Would I have
all this would be good content, but maybe it's not.
Are you asking if I'd have a name?
Yeah.
Maybe Talons. I'd call it Talons.
Talons Tap House.
There you go. See?
There we
Spurs. Go. I'm really digging into this chicken feet category. Beakers.
The Beak Bar. Okay, yeah. Anyway.
You could come up with a lot of different gizzards. There we go. I like that.
What was your original question? See, that's why I shouldn't have gone down that path.
Well, we were talking about, you said your first beer was a Blue Moon.
That's right. We were talking about the Blue Moon. So it's all coming full circle now. But the only reason I did is because I knew it had an orange in it, and it just didn't look like your prototypical beer. And it was the last one I ever bought. That's all I'll say about it, I guess.
That's the last Blue Moon you ever bought?
Yeah, or ever had. So I don't think it was bad. I don't really have the palate for alcohol in general. Anytime I've hardly ever drank any sort of alcohol, 9 times out of 10, it's just to please somebody else. I feel like I don't seek it out on my own.
Don't give in to peer pressure. And the point of this whole thing was to go way back to what we were talking about previously, is that you talk about you hit a certain point where you're mature, or like you just hit the dad joke phase. whenever you're done being like in that party scene is when you've hit the dad phase, because you're just like, I don't want to be in this loud club anymore. I just want to have a drink with my friends or just hang out with my friends. If you're not a drinker, totally fine. But that's when it hit for me. I'm like, I like what I like. I have my interests. I don't need to be at a club pretending to like things that to fit in with other people. Like it just
You see
just hit
that
wall
hit
and you're
me a
like,
long. I think that hit me while I was in college. I don't think I ever really went through a full on phase where I was trying to be somebody that I wasn't. I mean, there were times where I think I was definitely a lot more outgoing. But I don't think I ever tried to be somebody that I wasn't. And I hope that doesn't sound
very good.
like I'm being braggy about it, but like
No, that's a very
I
good
don't know.
quality. Some people are mature at a younger age, and that sounds like that was probably your case.
That's just the way it goes sometimes. Back to the concert thing too, because I'm sure this is something that I always think about when I'm at concerts, and I'm sure you experienced this, and maybe you were even a person participating in doing what I was about to say or what I'm about to say, and that's people that hold their phone up and record. I don't want to say the entire concert, but let's just say they've got their phone up there the entire time, and I don't know, they're just recording it and they can't just put their phone down and enjoy it. Because I get why people do it. I know they want to like create or savor a memory. They want to hold on to the experience that they're enjoying, or at least hopefully enjoying. But my thought process has always been there are so many people who hold their phones up in the air and are going to post these videos on YouTube that I don't need to do it, because there's going to be so many other people who are at the same show that I can just look up. If we're talking about Creed, I can look up Creed, My Sacrifice, Riverbend Music Center, and somebody else would have already recorded it,
Yeah, I think that's no, like it doesn't
While you're
bother
thinking, I'll
me.
ask you one. This should be hopefully an easy question. Did you use your phone at all to record anything for a long period of time while you were at Foo Fighters?
No.
Okay.
But
And
I don't think
I wouldn't expect you to be that type of person. I
I'm
was just
also
curious.
just not on my phone a lot. Like
Yeah.
I am for work and when I have to be working, but in terms of like if like I'll have my phone in another room sometimes and I don't care. Like I'm just not on it that much. But I will like I have gone to concerts and recorded certain parts of certain songs. But I get what you're saying if like you're just doing if it's the whole concert start to finish and you're just recording it on your phone, you paid a lot of money to watch it through your phone. But I don't think
And,
like getting a few clips or whatever, I don't think that's an issue.
and I agree with you there, but the biggest thing I always see, and I used to do this when I was in high school and go to concerts, but this is before it was kind of, I guess there were less phones that where everyone had a smartphone or an iPhone, Galaxy, whatever it may be. There was just less of that back then at that point in time. But it never fails, no matter who you're seeing, no matter how big of a production the show is. Now I feel like whenever the concert starts, or like you can tell like the introduction is about to happen, they're about the band or the artist is about to walk out for their first song, it never fails that you can look down at the crowd and you can see probably 60 to 70% of people with their phones out recording the intro of the show.
Yeah,
And
sure.
it's just so, I hate to call it weird. It just looks weird. Like to see everybody just pointing their phone at something and they can't just sit there and enjoy it. And I know I'm sounding really boomerish right now, or very like old man yells at cloud.
You do. That
but
is
I
how
know
you
I'm going to be at the Creed concert on Friday, and I'm going to see people doing that. And I'm going to be like, just sit there and enjoy it. I don't know.
I think I don't remember. I wasn't paying attention a lot to the people like down because we were up pretty high, but I wasn't paying attention to the people that were like in the pit, if that's what you would call it. I don't know what that area is called. I don't remember seeing a ton of phones. Like there were people that would break it out to like record, but I never remember seeing it like out constantly.
Okay.
And I mean, like I said, I've done it. I've recorded certain parts of certain songs, but I don't do it for the whole show.
I just think it's funny to see that, because that's like the most, the time where you'll see the most is the very beginning of the show. People will whip out the phone and record the intro.
The one that this should be the same, but it's not. The one that's weird to me is like when you do that at a sports event and you know a big moment is coming. Like like so there were you can even back in 2000, what year was it? What year was the watch out? Was that 2010?
2012,
Was it
11?
12?
I think it was
sometime
11. It was the 11-12 season, but it happened in
It
2011,
was
like the
December.
first
Yeah,
part of it. Yeah.
okay. Okay, so it was 11. And for those who don't know, it was when Christian Watford hit the shot when Indiana beat number 1 Kentucky and kind of brought him back. You can go back on YouTube and see the number of people that were recording then on like blurry, I don't know, Blackberries. I don't know what the popular phone
But
was.
here's the difference, and I'm glad you brought up that instance specifically, because when the students are storming the court, hardly any of them, I'm sure there's a couple, but hardly any of them have their phones out. They're just enjoying the moment. Nowadays, no matter whether it be Indiana, no matter whoever does the game-winning shot for your big upset where you storm the floor, nowadays you see people run out onto the floor and they're recording themselves storming the court. And you can see that on TV, and it looks so weird to me.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like, to me, I want to live in that. Like, to me, a concert's
so do
almost
I.
a concert's a little bit different because you're not going to have any, like, you're typically not going to have like a surprise. Like, you can get the set list, you know what they're going to play.
Yeah.
It's not like anything crazy is going to happen. At a sporting event, you have no idea. So, like, you could, you're recording it, and I'm sure people like actually record it and then actually watch the moment. So maybe it's not as big of a deal, but I'm just like, you paid all this money. Like when Mitchell, Laura, Abby, and I went to the
Pacers game
together, we got to witness, that was one of the best moments I've seen live in my Pacers fandom. And I've been to a lot of games. Not one of us had our phone out to record that moment. We lived in that moment. And like you said, there's probably 300 different videos of that on YouTube. So I don't know. It is weird. But what's funny to me is the thing too, is like when they storm the court, the problem with it is I don't have a problem with them recording it, but it's like they get internet tough guy with like the athletes that would gladly kick their ass if they could. Like, you know what I mean? Like they like insult them, say things that are not supposed to be said. Nothing else you would say to a 6'5" super athlete if you were just like walking on the street. But because they have their phone and they're going to put it on social media, they have to get all internet tough guy. And that more than the actual action of having your phone out is what bothers me.
Yeah. And I guess technically that generation is like a part of me, because I do kind of fit into that Gen Z era, even though, again, depending on what chart I look at, I can fit into millennial or Gen Z, but Gen Zs love their phones, man. And I appreciate what my phone can do. And all the different stuff that I guess technology is, the way it's progressed over the years. And like I said, I play video games on my phone sometimes. Like, that's something I like to utilize it for. But to be attached to it all the time, it's just something that I'm glad I'm not like that. And I do feel like I've been a little, I don't know if preachy is the right word on this podcast, but I've definitely shared some strong thoughts I have about the way certain people use their phones.
You can go outside and yell at a cloud now, John.
That's right. Yell at the clouds. Oh, man. Sometimes I just need to take a deep breath right now. Let's just take a deep breath together. If you're listening right now, we're all going to take a deep breath.
Collective deep breath. John doesn't have any coffee. He's not jacked up on. How is the mushroom coffee going? Are you still on that?
So I'm out of mushroom coffee. I went through that. I think I've been done with that for a while, but I will shout out one coffee place that we visited while we were in Delaware. It was called Notting Hill Cafe. And thankfully, I'm going to do this soon. You can order their stuff online and have it delivered to your house. They have some of the best flavored coffee that I've ever had. And I've not had a ton of flavored coffee. I'm usually pretty bland when it comes to my preferences, but I'll do a flavored coffee that if you still don't add any cream or sugar, extra sugar, that type of stuff to it. But they had some of, actually, I said the only, but it was this brown sugar flavored coffee. And I tell you, there was a point where I was drinking so much of it that it didn't make me sick necessarily, but I felt like it was getting to that point to where I was just consuming that much of it.
Yep.
But it is so good, and the smell when it is brewing is second to none. So shout out Notting Hill Coffee, free plug if you like flavored coffee. And I know not everybody, it's not their cup of tea, but
do you know this
isn't
even
coffee, I should say.
Not to promote a mega giant here, but Trader Joe's.
So I've never been to Trader Joe's. I think we have one in Louisville. I don't know how long it's been around, and I do know a few people who shop there, but I've never been to one myself.
So they have this, I think it's called like Winter Fest or Winter Break, or it's got winter in the name. I know that. It's not like, I don't even know that it's a flavor, but it's got like cinnamon, peppercorn. There's something else in there. Maybe it's brown sugar, but it's like, it's regular coffee, but it's got almost like a miniature chai type feel. And I don't even like chai, but this is coffee that I really like. It just feels like, it tastes like winter. It tastes like Christmas. I don't know how else to describe it.
So I don't think I've ever had coffee that was like a Christmas flavor, if that makes sense. Isn't that weird? We say like something tastes like Christmas, but people don't say that about like Halloween or Thanksgiving. I guess I don't know. There's not a coffee flavor that would taste like Thanksgiving. That actually probably would be pretty gross.
That would be gross. Well, nah, you could probably do pecans, like pecan.
Okay, that's fair.
Flavored coffee.
Halloween though, what would a Halloween flavored coffee be?
Pumpkin.
Oh, dumbass.
Pumpkin spice is about to take over our lives here.
We are on the precipice. Again, this will come out in August. We are about a month and a half away, maybe even a little less from.
No, you will start seeing pumpkin spice everything here in about 2 weeks. It is the
Here's the thing. I love fall. Spring and fall are my favorite times of the year for numerous reasons, but I don't have an issue with pumpkin spice, but let's just wait a little bit. Here's another place, Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel probably already has Halloween decorations out. They are the kings of putting out decorations earlier than anybody else.
Speaking of Cracker Barrel, have you seen the video of the couple? I don't know how old they are. They're probably in their 70s. They're probably retired. Their goal is, or has been, or they did, to eat at every Cracker Barrel in America.
Yes. Okay. I'm familiar with these people.
Okay. What a life goal. Amazing. Just like
I wonder how old they were when they said, you know what? We're going to go and visit every single one of these.
This is a good excuse, though, to travel to all of America. I'm sure they're at every part of the country. Who doesn't?
I don't think I've ever been in a Cracker Barrel that looks any different than the next, other than maybe they switch the way that it looks like it might be mirrored in the opposite direction.
Well, yeah, every Cracker Barrel you would think is in the same spot every time you go because it looks the exact same. Everything. The only thing that's different is like they usually have a section devoted to college or professional sports teams.
Okay, yeah.
So that's how you know what state you're in. But that's about it. Everything else.
So what did this couple do? What did this couple do?
I don't know. They're just touring the world looking for Cracker Barrels.
See, for some reason, I thought that they already hit their goal because I remember reading about these people a while ago.
This is what I do, John. Is I see things and then I like them on Twitter and then I scroll. And
I did the same. Remember when I played the Pizza Hut clip a couple of weeks ago? I didn't realize that was however many years old that was, but it wasn't new.
This is probably like a 20-year-old story that I just now stumbled upon.
Here we go. So this is, we'll go ahead and continue with this. This was back in August of 2017. Couple fulfills lifelong dream of visiting every Cracker Barrel in the country. And I'm sure there are some that pop up every now and again and they have to go to the brand new one. But let's see, so they were both 81 years old. And they visited their 645th Cracker Barrel store in Oregon back on August 28th, 2017. That's a lot of Cracker Barrels.
That is a lot of country fried steak and chicken and dumplings, let me tell you.
Speaking of Cracker Barrels, let's go ahead and bring that. That was a horrible video transition. Mitchell Page is with us now.
What's up? What a time to pop in. I haven't been to a Cracker Barrel in way too long. Way too long.
Turns out you and Laura are going tomorrow.
Potentially. Last time I went there, I was apparently too old to order chocolate chip pancakes, and I got made fun of. That felt like a perfectly normal order. I was
That
like
is a normal
25.
order.
Yeah. The guy was like, "What are you, 6?" And I said, "No, I like good food."
Yeah.
Wait, was this the server that said that to you?
No, it was the guy that I went with. It was one of the guys I work with. He was a probably 55-year-old guy that grew up in the hard times, I guess. He's the guy that would tell you he walked uphill to school both ways.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I ordered I was supposed to help him with a surgery, and he made me sit outside for the first 10 minutes of it because he was disappointed in my order at Cracker Barrel.
Wow.
You should have bought him a rocking chair to make up for it.
Yeah, he was funny about it, but I didn't see how it was funny. I enjoyed every bite of them.
Have you ever seen rocking chairs are like Cracker Barrel's statement outside of their staple outside of the biscuits and gravy and chicken and dumplings, but I've never seen anybody buy one. You would think as many times as I've been to a Cracker Barrel, I would have seen somebody purchase one of those rocking chairs.
I have sat every time I've gone, which is not that many, I'll admit, maybe 5, 6 times. I sit in them for 30 minutes. I tell them I'll be ready to eat in 30 minutes. I'm going to sit out here for a little bit.
You don't tell
Can
me when
you-
my table's ready. I tell you when I'm ready for my table.
Exactly. I'll be back in. Keep one ready for me. I'm going to sit out here.
That's a very Cracker Barrel way of doing things, though. And I was going to say this too whenever I asked if it was the server, because if the person who made fun of you for ordering chocolate chip pancakes was the server, that dude must have some balls because he's risking his tip right there by acting like that.
Yeah,
it wasn't the server.
or he just knew. I feel like our generation just way over tips all the time. Like, when's the last time, at least the people, this may put you guys on the spot here. I apologize for what I'm about to do. When's the last time you docked someone's tip for bad service?
I don't know the last time that I did it. I know I have. I've never not tipped anyone because I've never had service that was that terrible. But there are times where I have less than ideal service and I just maybe give them.
Yeah.
So I try to go for 20%, but I'll never usually go lower than 10 or 15%, depending on how bad it is or, subpar.
Yeah. I've had one issue that I can think of that was like really bad, but I don't, any other time it's been fine. Like,
dude, I would be a much richer man if tipping wasn't a thing. I tip like 25% no matter what, because their job is so much harder than whatever I'm doing. I'm just, hey, can I have 45 million waters and my food as fast as possible so I can get out of here? And like they're dealing with people that are just nightmares all day. What's a couple extra bucks in my mind?
Well, let me ask you this then, Mitchell. So this checks out with the fact that you donate to Wikipedia. So I'm not surprised about this at all.
True.
But do you tip? This is one thing that bothers me, and I've not done this, and I hope I never do give into this, but I hate it when you're in a drive-thru now, and it's not every place, but there are certain places where the person working the drive-thru will give you a pen and a receipt to sign and to potentially leave a tip, and that is absolutely ridiculous in my opinion.
That's crossing the line. If that happened to me, I would never go to that restaurant again. If I go inside, I sit down and someone is serving, yes, tip 25% pretty much every time. But then you start getting to the tips at like CVS. Have you ever had this? They
at
give
CVS?
I had the other day.
Nightmare.
Dude, other day, they ask you to donate to round up and then donate $3 to the CVS Foundation. And then the girl twisted it around and said 10, 20, or other. I pushed other. I put 0%.
Oh.
That felt like too much. I'm getting like diapers and wet wipes. You didn't help me at all do this.
That's crazy. It's like maybe I'll experience that eventually. I guess I don't go to CVS very often. Maybe I will eventually for whatever reason, but that's insane.
I'm going to use this term even though I probably shouldn't. It's become such a pandemic that there are Instagram reels of like there's a guy who will push a button on an elevator for somebody else and he'll turn his phone and it's that tip screen.
100%. Yeah.
It is everywhere. And I feel like I tip at way more places than I should because of that screen. Like they just take my order and that's all they do. And I'm
very generous at the places that I believe there should be tips. And then I'm the complete opposite. I'm a curmudgeon everywhere else. If you didn't bring me any food or 100 waters, I'm not giving you any extra money. I did all the work here.
Right.
I went and got my stuff. I brought it to you. Sometimes there's even self-checkout. I'm not tipping you. I'm not tipping the machine.
It's funny because they're like begging you to just say no to their face by giving you
It's the
the
absolute
iPad
guilt.
or whatever it is.
It's the guilt trip of a lifetime to have to stare someone in the eyes and push 0%. And they flip that thing around and see you push 0% is very funny.
Oh man, I feel bad. There's probably somebody listening to this who's guilty of doing that at their job, maybe because they have to. But I don't want to say I feel bad, but because you're in that line of work, I guess, or at least maybe you've not chosen, but you are in it. And I don't know. Just don't ask your car in the drive-thru to tip you. That's all I'm asking for.
Well, it's not their fault that the companies put that in there.
100%. What restaurant is this? See, I go fast food. They're not doing that at McDonald's.
So I've had it happen to me. It's not fast food. I've had it happen to a pizza drive-thru near me and a coffee shop that just opened right down our street.
Coffee is the biggest culprit of this.
Yes, because they think they're bartenders. That's what they kind of see themselves as.
It started with Starbucks, and now you have all these independent coffee shops, and they don't say 10, 15, 20. Theirs are like 18, 25, or 30.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched them, like I get the simplest coffee ever. I watched them pull a lever, put my little cup under there, and then give it to me. And the coffee's already $7 somehow.
I was going to say, and the problem is those independent companies, I like to support them because they're local, but their coffee tends to be more expensive because they have to be. They don't have
and it's
Starbucks
all like
headquarters.
I know some people will say, and we'll definitely get comments saying, I don't know what I'm talking about. But as someone that just drinks crappy coffee, it's all the same to me.
Same.
Like,
sure.
I'm in it for the effect. I'm not enjoying every sip of this unless I'm going to put you guys on something. There's at every Speedway gas station, there's an ice coffee machine that has French vanilla or mocha. And you go over to the Slurpee thing and you get the ice and you just top it off. That's my favorite part of the day. And it's like $1.99 for 24 ounces. You're just buzzing with caffeine and sugar afterwards. And it is so tasty. But that's the only coffee that I think, and that's just basically sugar. I'm basically just drinking a cake. It's not like a normal coffee that I can just make at home that I just happen to be at this local spot that says support local business everywhere and then charge me $7.50 for 12 ounces.
Here's the last thing I'll say on tipping, and Dustin, if you have comments, you can feel free to share some as well. But the reason, what annoys me the most about it is that this is companies' ways and saying, you know what, we're not going to pay them more. You pay
100%.
them more by tipping them more. That's what pisses me off about it.
Yeah, they had this $15 an hour minimum wage, and this is their way around it.
Yep.
All right. Mitchell, I know you just joined us, but we are close to wrapping it up. What's been going on with you real quick?
Yeah, so big couple days. I think this releases on Thursday, right?
Yes.
Okay. So it's the biggest golf tournament of my year. It's the one that I want to play the best in. It's the most realistic big tournament that I can qualify out of. It's the U.S. mid-amateur tournament, so it kind of eliminates the college kids. You have to be 25 to play, so it's not the college kids that are just grinding 12 hours a day. These are working dudes. But it's similar. There's three qualifiers there's a bunch of qualifiers. 3 guys qualify out of my site, which is at Rock Hollow in Peru. And then you go to Virginia and play against the best mid-amateurs around the country. And I mean, I'm not good enough to win the whole thing this year. Hopefully, maybe a couple of years from now I will be. But the reward for winning this thing is like playing in the Masters and the U.S. Open.
Nice.
It's a big, huge amateur tournament. and the one that again is most realistic for me to qualify for. So it's a big day on Thursday.
Well, good luck.
Thank
luck,
you,
yeah.
my friend.
Thank you. I'm excited. Went out and played my practice round today, so that's why I'm a little bit late. But
That's all right though. Duty calls, right?
exactly.
Best father, best golfer, right?
I hope so. Hopefully one of them at least.
This time next week, we'll be entering our officially enter into the second year of Out of Touch. So
Ooh, buddy.
we've made it, guys. We made it through a whole year of this nonsense. So thanks for coming along with us for however many episodes you've seen this. Hopefully you'll stick around for the future, and we will talk to you once again next week.